7-year-old child was abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered.
The 7-year-old girl was last seen Friday afternoon on the playground at the River Ridge Apartments.
She was in the dumpster. She was severely beaten. We believe that she was sexually assaulted.
A week or two ago, a little boy went missing for a couple of hours, and I was talking to one of the workers. He said, and I quote, with all these empty apartments on the bottom floor, it would be really easy for one of these children or for somebody to break in and do something bad to one of these children.
See that hole?
Yeah, that's what the man who was arrested supposedly said to a neighbor. These vacant apartments, it'd be easy to grab a child. Breaking news tonight, cops arrest a suspect in the brutal, and I mean brutal, sexual assault and murder of 7-year-old Jorelys Rivera. Good evening, everyone. Jane Velez Mitchell coming to you live from New York City. Take a look at him. Cops moved in and grabbed this young man in the blue jacket. He's 20 years old. He is the one accused of sexually assaulting, stabbing, and murdering this 7-year-old girl, Ryan Braun. This guy is a neighbor of the victim. He lived and worked just steps away from her home. Little Jorelys vanished from her apartment complex playground Friday evening. Cops say they found this innocent little girl. Look how pretty, look how beautiful, all dressed up. Innocent little girl murdered. 3 days later, thrown away like trash in a dumpster. Police say they have caught the man behind this crime, and he was hiding in plain sight.
And we're here to announce the arrest of Ryan Braun for the murder of the 7-year-old Rivera child. We are confident that Braun is the killer, and that is why he's in custody.
Suspect Ryan Braun is a maintenance man at the very apartment complex where little Jorelys lived. Cops say he just recently moved to the town of Canton, just outside of Atlanta. He does not have a criminal record, but they are now checking his background and his movements for other possible crimes. As cops moved in on this neighbor suspect, the other neighbors, the good people who were terrified, who were living in terror, jeered and yelled. So who is this man cops think committed this horrifying crime? What do you think? Call me 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. I want to hear from you. Straight out to my exclusive guest, Kelly Knight. You live in the complex where all of this went down, and you witnessed the arrest. Describe for me what it was like when cops came in and went after this suspect, Ryan Braun.
It was very surreal. As soon as we heard they were coming in to that apartment, I went outside my door and I witnessed it all. And I even hollered at him that I'd like to shoot him myself.
And from looking at him, did he exhibit any kind of remorse, any kind of, or did you ever run into this guy? You live in the complex.
He hasn't been there very long, and the few times I saw him, he appeared very odd, very standoffish. He always had his head down, wouldn't make eye contact. When he waved, he wouldn't raise his hand, and that was when I would wave to him first. And like I said, I didn't see him very often, but the few times I did, he struck me as very strange.
How do the mothers and fathers in this complex and the surrounding community feel tonight that cops say they have mammoth evidence against this individual? Is there relief?
Extremely relieved. Very relieved.
Yeah. And what were people yelling as he was arrested? Apparently people were saying things. I know you said something. What else was said?
I heard someone call him a scum bucket, a monster. That's really about all.
We want to look into this man's life, and we've learned some things. So stand by if you can, Kelly. This 20-year-old accused of the most heinous crime imaginable, sexually assaulting and murdering a little girl. Take a look at this. This is Ryan Braun's Facebook page. It was taken down about an hour ago, but we managed to grab it before it was pulled. Many of the posts are, well, I thought they were bizarrely normal. He's getting off here, about to eat some pizza. Hit me up. Let's go Giants. After his birthday in July. Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. I had a fun day. Now it's time to get real loud. But in some of the posts, he seems unhappy. October 21, he writes, bored. Nothing to do in this hellhole of a town. Someone hit me up. And also, he posts that he is single and seeking women. Stacey Honowitz, Florida prosecutor. It is sort of bizarre that he has absolutely no criminal record, according to cops, that he's only 20 years old, that his family moved from New York City to Georgia to escape some kind of problems, we don't know exactly what, but that he would just come here, start a job, and then do this?
Well, you'd have to talk to a psychiatrist to find out the mind of basically a sociopath, because obviously that's what it is. Anybody that can sexually assault and then murder a 7-year-old absolutely is devoid of any kind of emotion or any kind of life. So you'd have to really delve into his mind. I mean, the fact that he doesn't have anything sexual in his past or anything violent in his past, as we've seen on so many occasions, Jane, really does not make a difference, because we didn't know currently what has been going on in his life,
all right,
why he would be attracted to doing this to a child.
Well, let's try to understand who this person, Ryan Braun, the suspect, is. And we have his brother, Steve Patrick, on the phone exclusively. Steve, I'd ask you to speak up because I know you have a sketchy connection. Can you hear me?
No, we cannot hear you.
Okay. Well, you cannot hear me, but you can hear me ask you if you can hear me. Why don't we try to get a better connection? Because we want to be fair here. We want to hear what you have to say. So let's call back and get a better connection, and we will talk to you in just a second. Meantime, listen to what Ryan Braun's grandfather says about his daughter. And apparently what we're hearing, and we want to confirm with the brother, is that he was adopted, the suspect was adopted, everybody was adopted into a particular family. And the grandfather of this man who's been arrested said, well, my daughter, in other words, the presumably adopted mother, hasn't spoken to me in 10 years. I don't even know my own grandkids. So that part of the family doesn't talk to any of the rest of us. So I don't know, Dr. Rieff, Kareem, what's going on here. We're trying to find out. But my question would be, what age was he adopted? Did he come from a foster environment? Was he possibly himself a victim of some kind of sexual malfeasance, which can happen sometimes and can lead to becoming a perpetrator? But I think it's interesting that he seems very normal on the surface, but now that we're scratching, we're hearing some dysfunctionality.
Yeah, there's a genetics and a trauma history to dysfunction. I mean, first off, anytime that you come from an environment that's dysfunctional, whereby there's sexual, physical, or neglect, trauma, then you can pass that on because that's what you know. That's what you're comfortable with. That's the kind of environment you live in, and that's how you've connected with people in the past. As weird as that sounds, that is a form of connection and communication that gets passed on from generation to generation.
Mike Brooks, cops are saying the evidence against him is mammoth. And I want to actually throw this to Stacey Honowitz. The evidence against this guy is mammoth. Now, what I'm thinking is he's accused of sexual assault. Could they have already gotten the DNA from the victim back? Because that would certainly be very definitive evidence. His DNA.
Well, certainly when you hear that kind of remark coming from the investigative agency, you would have to assume that, yes, that's some sort of forensic, and we're talking about DNA because there are allegations that there were sexual assault, that there might have been semen found in her vagina. So, yes, it is very possible that the results have come back that quickly, and that's why they're able to make that comment.
We're taking your calls on this. We're just getting started. 1-877-JVM says. 1-877-586-7297. We are talking to a neighbor who witnessed the arrest of Ryan Braun, the man accused of killing this precious innocent. And we're trying to talk to his brother to find out what's the story with this guy. We want to be fair. We want to know what really happened. This is an outrage. Stay with us. More on the other side.
At first I thought it was a lie, but when I got here, my whole world fell apart. They told me that it was true and that they had taken her away.
I asked the state of Georgia that the person who committed this atrocity, that they throw the full force of the law at him, because they need to stop this. They need to stop this abuse against children.
place in the immediate vicinity of the playground.
Breaking news tonight in total panic.
We're here to announce the arrest of Ryan Braun for the murder of the 7-year-old Rivera child.
Sin. I hope you know that.
She was severely beaten. We believe that she was sexually assaulted. Braun is 20 years of age. He is employed as a maintenance worker at the apartment complex where the child resided.
She would have went with anybody, I believe. She was just very outgoing and very friendly and trusted everybody.
This is a mammoth case. We believe that this horrendous crime was planned and calculated.
That vacant apartment is in the building right next to Jorelys.
The murder occurred in that vacant apartment.
This is the trash compactor where Jorelys' body was placed.
We're confident that Braun is the killer. The abduction took place in the immediate vicinity of the playground where the 7-year-old child was playing. The child was taken to a vacant apartment unit located in a building adjacent to where the child resided. We have
and become infamous around the world. Do you think, Dr. Rieff, this could have been some kind of ploy for attention if, in fact, he killed this girl?
Yeah, I mean, you could come up with a cry for attention. You come up with a lot of things, but the reality is, we as individuals and as human beings do not go to sexual assault or to murder in regards to anyone, let alone a kid. It is not natural in our conditioning. It just doesn't happen psychologically. So when you go that direction, first off, sexual assault, secondly, murder, and third, to a young child, there's definitely something wrong with you. Whether you want to call it a psychological problem or just pure evil, whatever you want to call that, there's something off. I don't think it's just, hey, I saw this other case and I want to get attention myself. I think it's much beyond that. This is a very scary individual and who needs a ton of help, and the word evil, as much as I don't want to use that word, really seems to apply in this case.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. They're lighting up. Sandra, New York, your question or thought, Sandra?
Yes, my statement is, I'm listening to this doctor, and my thing is that society has painted a picture. Anyone over the age of 19, they consider as an adult. You're addressing the society, this community. They're addressing this kid, and this is what he is, a kid. Okay, 20 years old. I have a 19-year-old daughter. I know everything she does from the time she goes to the bathroom, and she's in college. Okay, and I'm on Hempstead, Long Island. My thing is that I will get very upset if society paints a picture as if there is something, and there is something mentally wrong with this kid.
Wait a second. Look, nobody's getting off the hook here. This guy has been accused. He hasn't been convicted. Cops say the evidence is overwhelming. We're trying to understand who he is so we can stop the next brutal murder. More in a second.
Tip to the GBI this morning because I was talking to one of the workers that works at the complex because a week or two ago, a little boy went missing for a couple of hours, and I was talking to one of the workers, and during our conversation about the little boy being missing, he mentioned, and he said, and I quote, with all these empty apartments on the bottom floor, it would be really easy for one of these children or for somebody to break in and do something bad to one of these children.
And she's saying it's the suspect who said that to her. A maintenance man who was arrested and now accused of killing little Jorelys Rivera. Cops are saying public tips like that led them to this suspect. I want to go out to Charlotte, or you are the neighbor of this precious murdered child, Jorelys Rivera. What do you know about this suspect we're going to show as well as we talk? What do you know about this Ryan Braun in terms of how long he's been there at the complex? What do you know, Charlotte?
I know that he's been there approximately 4 weeks to a month. He probably went to work the first of the month or so. I know that they did a background check on him. I know that. Other than that, as far as
he has no criminal record, which is kind of surprising. Now, what about where this child was taken from? Everybody is saying she was taken from the playground. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think the child was taken from the playground. The child was on the playground at 4 o'clock playing with my great-grandbaby. She was in front of my apartment, which is right next to the playground. She was in front of my apartment about 5 o'clock, and I'm just guessing on the time. It could have been a little before, playing at the tree. I seriously feel like that, they keep saying that she went to the house to get drinks. And I seriously feel like that somebody grabbed her when she came out of that apartment, took her out the back way and around through, because on the back of that apartment is just trees and stuff. And I feel like they took her from that from that building around to where the evidence that they found was found.
Mike Brooks, HLN law enforcement analyst on the ground there. Cops say they have mammoth evidence against this suspect. Could it be DNA that they took from the victim? What do you think that mammoth evidence is?
Well, Jane, it sounds to me, as a former investigator, like they got a lot of evidence out of that vacant apartment. And that could be anything from blood evidence to DNA to fingerprints to trace evidence to, it could be a blood spatter. If she was brutally beaten and stabbed inside of that apartment, then, there could be a plethora of evidence, plus evidence that was maybe inside or close to her from the compactor. Also, evidence from his apartment, and also a good possibility, evidence from his vehicle, Jane.
Well, the most disturbing aspect, one of the most, is that this child was thrown away like trash, and that she was put in a trash compactor, and the compactor was compacted. And the only person who has that key is somebody who is a maintenance person. So I think that's another reason why they focused in on this person. You're looking at the trash compactor there. Up next, Jerry Sandusky.